Hello VC, what's going on? It's me, Will, and I am back, this time with yet another contest entry, and this one's gonna be for Brett, also known as the Vinyl Victim here in YouTube and in the vinyl community. And Brett actually used to live here in Atlanta, so we chat quite a bit about the Atlanta music scene and all the venues here in town. Really good guy, a great VC member, a great addition to the VC, and he's currently having his 100 subscribers contest. So first of all, congratulations Brett on the milestone. Great job on the channel. I'll put a link here in the description so you can check it out in case you haven't subscribed to the Vinyl Victim. He likes to show all kinds of rock and roll records. I think he focuses mostly on metal, but he likes to show pretty much anything related to rock and roll, all the way from punk rock all the way to like classic rock and alternative rock as well. So make sure that you check it out, the Vinyl Victim here on YouTube. And yeah, he's currently having his 100 subscribers contest. He had an idea that initially seemed kind of simple. It's pretty much to pick up your favorite album of all time and give some technical details about it. However, once you actually got into all the questions, that ended up being a little bit more challenging because there were a few things here that I actually didn't know about my favorite album of all time. So it was really great idea because it forced me to learn some new things that I didn't know about my favorite album of all time. So yeah, great idea. And again, it was to pick up your just one album that you consider your favorite album of all time, and just answer a bunch of questions about it. So let's go ahead and check out with go ahead with my pick. And if you're a follower of my channel, if you watch my videos, you will know that I picked the Pixies with their classic album called Doolittle. And I'll just go through all the questions that Brett asked us to answer for his contest. And first of all, the title of the album, Doolittle by the Pixies. The year that it came out on in 1989, and it came out on 4AD Records, the now iconic record label 4AD. This is a repress that I picked up a few years ago, but it does have the custom labels for 4AD Records on for the Pixies. It just came out on black vinyl, and again, this is just one of the late represses, but they did a great job with this record, with the thick custom inner sleeves with the additional artwork, and also an insert with all the lyrics and all the artwork for the record. So yeah, the 4AD Records, again, iconic record label, especially from the 90s. They went out to release some classic albums by alternative rock and post-punk bands like Throwing Muses all the way to Bauhaus and Dead Can Dance. But I think they were mostly known because of this record, the Pixies with Doolittle. Next question, members and instruments. Of course, the Pixies are led by Black Francis, who plays guitar and also sings in all the songs. Joey Santiago plays the lead guitar, and David Lovering plays the drums, and of course the one and only Kim Deal plays the bass and also sings in some of the songs and sings backup vocals as well. And Kim Deal ended up being the one that quit the band, I think, in the mid-90s, which led to the breakup of the band also in the mid-90s. Very famously, they also returned, or they came back together in 2004 for a reunion, and they currently still play, but without Kim Deal. She ended up quitting the band again. But yeah, those are the members of the Pixies, of the classic lineup of the Pixies that ended up recording Doolittle in 1989. Producer was Gil Norton. This was his big break for him, producing Doolittle by the Pixies, because he went on to produce also some other big bands after he produced Doolittle. He ended up producing albums for Foo Fighters and Jimmy Eat World and the Distillers, and I think I heard something that he was the initial producer for the Strokes when they were recording This Is It. But for some reason he ended up being replaced at the last minute. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but Gil Norton, the producer for Doolittle as well. The mixing engineer was Steve Hagler. and it was recorded in Downtown Studio Recorder, or Downtown Recorders in Boston, Massachusetts, which is where the band is from. The Pixies are from Boston. The album was also mastered in Carriage House Studios in Stamford, Connecticut. And the artwork was done by the photographer Simon Larbas Lestier. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, but he was the photographer, and the artist for the record was Vaughn Oliver. And the artwork in this record was also pretty legendary and pretty iconic because and mainly because of the subject matter of the record itself. In case you didn't know, the Doolittle by the Pixies was a very dark theme record. This is a record that is about violence and crime, murder, rape. It's about monsters and surrealism, things that are very dark in nature. And the artwork itself really reflects the kind of theme and the topic that is played in the music. And I did read that both Simon Larbal Lestier and Vaughn Oliver got access to the music before they actually started working on the artwork for Doolittle. And I'll show you a little bit of the artwork from the CD, because the booklet in the CD actually has bigger pictures of the artwork itself compared to the insert in the vinyl. So it's a little bit easier to see on the CD itself. So for example, you get, of course, the iconic cover from Doolittle with a picture of the monkey and the halo, obviously a reference to the song called Monkey Gone to Heaven. And inside the booklet itself, this is the picture for the song called Gouge Away, which is a song about, I believe it's a song about murder or like violence against a woman. And in the artwork itself, you get like a piece of hair on a spoon, and this looks to be like a torso of a woman. So very, very disturbing kind of imagery right here. This is also pretty iconic as well. This is the artwork for the song called Mr. Greaves, which is a song that I've always related it to some kind of a brutal murder of a woman or a rape as well. And you get like a piece of rope that is kind of broken at the end, and a little picture of a doll as well. So it's also pretty literal as well. The next picture is the one for the song called Dead, and it has a dead looking heart. Of course, the legendary wave of mutilation, a reference to the crab or the crustaceans. And this one I think is for her Tame, which is also a song I think about violence or murder. I'm not sure which this one is for. I think this one is for Hey, another dark theme song, and you can see it right there with the artwork. And this one to me is the most shocking one, because this one is the one for I Bleed, the song I Bleed. Another song about violence and death. Has a crazy picture of a huge bell with, I don't know if you can see it there, but there are teeth right there in the bottom of the bell. Clearly a reference to a lyric in the song itself where it says something like it shakes my teeth, like it's so loud that it shakes my teeth. So a very clear reference to that song and to the lyrics, and you can see it throughout the artwork in the record. Great artwork in this album, Doolittle by the Pixies. So yeah, both Oliver and Simon did a great job in this artwork for this record. Next question: songs and the singles from Doolittle. So I'll go through quickly through the track list. You get Debaser, Tame, Wave of Mutilation. I already mentioned some of this. So Here Comes Your Man, I Bleed, Dead, Monkey Gone to Heaven, Mr. Greaves, Crackety Jones, La La Love You, and Number 13 Baby. And they did release a few singles that actually have only on CD single, because the singles on vinyl are crazy expensive. However, the ones on CD single, you can find them for pretty cheap. And I picked up Monkey Gone to Heaven. Here's the CD single with... what's cool about the CD singles for the Pixies is that they always come in with some cool B-sides. This one came in with Manta Ray, Weird at My School, and Dancing the Manta Ray. Really cool CD single. I also got another CD single by for Here Comes Your Man, with a really cool picture of the dog. And the B-sides are Into the White, Bailey's Walk, and the slow version of Wave of Mutilation, which is excellent. And actually, this is a version of the song that they usually play when they play live. They play the slow version of Wave of Mutilation, which is really cool. Again, the Pixies with Here Comes Your Man. And then later on, I think this one came in 1997, almost 9 years after the release of the album. They put out these 2 singles for Debaser, the opening track for the record, which is awesome. And this one is the standard version of the single, and this one is the live version of the single, also with some B-sides. This one came in with Bone Machine, Gigantic, and Isla de Encanta. And the live version of the CD single came in with Holiday Song Live, Cactus Live, and Nimrod's Son. Really cool couple of CD singles. That's pretty much it. I think the rest, he wanted us to mention some quick facts about the record itself. And I did put together a list of really interesting facts about this album, because this is a very, a very interesting album overall. First of all, Black Francis, the leader of the Pixies, he wanted to title the record "Whore" as a reference to one of the songs in the album called "Hey," but he ended up changing his mind at the last minute because he thought it would just be too controversial to have the picture of the monkey with the halo and the title of "Whore." It would just be too controversial, and he thought that it might offend some religious people, so he ended up changing the title to Doolittle, which is a reference to another song in the record called Mr. Greaves. The reception on this record was initially kind of mixed. I think there were some magazines that only gave him like a 3 stars out of 5, but later on everybody changed their mind and they realized that this is an excellent album, and it's easy to see because the record itself takes a few listens to actually realize how good it is. And it's also a record that ended up being extremely influential over some classic alternative rock bands in the 90s. In particular, a band like Nirvana. If you see some interviews that they did to Kurt Cobain back in the day, he mentions this record itself as a clear influence when he was recording Nevermind. In fact, there is a quote that he says that when he was recording, or he was writing the song Smells Like Teen Spirit, he said that he thought everyone would think that it was a direct ripoff of the Pixies, because it sounds so similar to the song called Tame in this record. So yeah, very influential album over many punk and alternative rock bands from the 90s especially. And lastly, I also wanted to mention that, like I said before, the band reunited in 2004, and they did a lot of live gigs. And in 2009 and 2010, they did a tour where they played the album Doolittle in its entirety. They played all the songs for Doolittle, plus the B-sides of the album as well, and some different songs as well. And they did a tour throughout North America, and I think throughout the world as well. And I had the opportunity to go to one of those shows. I was living in Virginia back then in 2010, and I drove all the way to Charlotte to see them. And they did something really cool where before the show you could pay an extra $20, and after the show you would get a CD copy of the show, of the audio of the show that you just went to see. So it's a pretty unique souvenir, I guess, of the show, to seeing the Pixies live, especially playing Doolittle. And it came in this really cool digipack with a sticker right there. It seemed like something kind of improvised, because they just put a sticker on top of the regular artwork, but it ends up looking really cool because it's kind of like a unique album. And it says September 9th, 2010 in Alvin's Auditorium in Charlotte, North Carolina, and says limited edition, because they only pressed as many CDs for the people that bought it before the show. And it came on a double CD. The CD one has the whole Doolittle album played live, and the CD2 has the B-sides and the extra songs that they played also on the record. So yeah, really cool to have this, and this sounds awesome as well. It sounds very, very clear. So really happy to have that one for, especially when it came out for the 20th year anniversary of Doolittle. But yeah, I think those are all the questions that Brett had for his contest. I hope I didn't miss anything, but again, congratulations, Brett, on the 100 subs. Really cool channel, really cool contest. Keep up the good work, because the channel is doing really well. And thank you everyone for watching, and take care. Bye bye.